So my name is Leonie Gaiser. I'm a research assistant at Multilingual Manchester, which is a cluster of projects based here at the University of Manchester School of Arts, Languages and Cultures. And only last year, at the end of last year and beginning of this year, we've released an app called LinguaSnap. It is an app that allows us, that allows everyone actually, not only researchers and students, but also any member of the public, to help us map linguistic landscapes. So what do we mean by linguistic landscapes? In a very general way, we're speaking here about any type of writing that you can see in the public space. Billboards, public signs, street signs, or only little private notes that you can see maybe posted on a shop front or in the rubbish bin. And we're interested in, for instance, in a city like Manchester, it is very interesting to see which languages are used, where do they cluster, and how does this relate to other types of language data, such as, for instance, language census, the school census, or data that reflect language needs, such as, for instance, data on interpreter requests. Originally, linguistic landscapes researchers would just walk around with a camera in their hand and take pictures of shop signs, for instance, count languages, and this would amount to maybe maximum 400, 500 pictures, and it's very difficult then to have an overview of these data. So what we did, we developed this app, LinguaSnap, that comes in two parts. First of all, you have the mobile phone app that is available to any smartphone user that you can use to take a picture of a sign that has some type of interesting language use, for instance, an interesting language choice or language combination. You can then add analytical descriptors. You can add information related to language choice, to the content. Maybe you're able to translate what the sign means if it's written in a different language than English, and you can translate it into English, you can add your translation. And you can also add different types of information regarding the context. Is it what type of sign it is it a handwritten sign, is it a professionally printed sign? And you can add information to language combination, different types of analytical descriptors that are interesting to us. But you don't have to as a non-linguist. These pictures will then be uploaded first to LinguaSnap online database, where the Multilingual Manchester team moderates all the data that come in. We look at all the signs, if they're, of course, there are ethical issues. Then we complement any information, we check whether the information that is provided is correct, and we also add translations or check translations.
Sorry, you carry on.
Yeah, that's fine. If we then confirm these data, or an individual image, let's say, it will then appear on the map that you just saw before, which is an interactive map, also accessible to the public. So here, for instance, you can then find the image that you took, and you can filter this map by any analytical descriptor you wish to filter it by. So if you scroll down, that's fine here, you can filter it, for instance, by language, and that then allows you to find clusters of the language. For instance, if we filter it by Urdu, we'll see for Manchester that there will be a cluster in Cheetham Hill, that there will be a cluster in South Manchester, and that as opposed to Polish, for instance, which is distributed across the city, we have these residential clusters where Urdu speakers live, also reflected in the linguistic landscape. However, we must of course be, language is not only necessarily used for communicative purposes. We, for instance, have Italian on Italian restaurant signage, not necessarily reflecting the presence of Italian speakers, but the language is used for other functions. But this is what we could then look at in our analyses. So as I said before, these data can then be compared to other language data sets, and it can be quite important also for public services in the future to see what are the language practices in Manchester and worldwide. We're in the moment in discussions of expanding LinguaSnap, and we've already set up LinguaSnap Jerusalem and Melbourne. So we can then compare our data to how language is used in other cities. And there are, of course, challenges, first of all, related to categorization. It is very difficult to count languages, as languages are not discrete entities that you can, it's not always as simple as it looks, as in any kind of quantitative data, I guess, where you have to categorize, but it's not always, boundaries are fuzzy, as we know. And second, of course, there are ethical issues. LinguaSnap users, we ask LinguaSnap users to accept the terms and conditions of LinguaSnap, which means that they waive the copyright, and also when we moderate the images, we make sure that it's publicly visible signage anyway. It's not inside buildings, you don't see any faces or you can't recognize any people, and also we make sure that nothing else is visible that shouldn't be visible. But yeah, there are a number of ethical issues that need to be addressed, and yeah, I'm sure we're doing fine on that, and we're developing where we can. Thank you.